territory, as it might be losing out on their SI spot.
I was going to say, not just as kind of as a disappointment as he wanted, but generally everybody. Obviously, Leon even had to tweet up that the Ginger Jesus is back, but unfortunately he couldn't quite make it. This, though, it's a weird story to paint for both these teams. One, if you would have told us at the beginning of the phase that this game for Tempra was one of their best chances to secure some precious points to keep them out of the auto-relegation spot, no one would have believed you.
No one would have believed you. But, well, truth be told, it is actually the fact. And Tempra now are trying to continue fighting themselves away from that relegation spot. They did some well, heroic work against Chaos last time around. Basically made sure that they weren't going to be in that 10th place and elevated themselves, let's say, you know, three points ahead of them as well. Now they're trying to get out of that 9th place as well, because that is of course still a relegation battle. And who knows, at the end of Challenger League they might be fighting against, you know, their old rivals in Challenger League last season, which could be Gamma, could be Penta. You know, both those teams were present and they basically stole the spots away from them. So that'd be a fun one, but Tempra not up for that.
And if we're going to talk about Tempra, we've got to talk about Rogue. If there are Cinderella stories of getting to the ball, unfortunately Rogue have seemingly turned back into a pumpkin a bit premature. They've got to get a little bit more of that first split magic if they're going to have any hopes of becoming the belle of the ball they had the potential to be. Otherwise, they might just find themselves in a little bit of heartbreak if they don't find the slipper today. Starting ourselves off with a defense on the side of Theme Parker Place, which, as the analyst pointed out, is a very good place for them to build some rounds. Not only is Rogue on Theme Park a little bit of an unknown for now, but Tempra, we know they haven't had the best time on it. Is it something where they've lived and learned and maybe improved, which puts the VOD that Rogue may have out of date, or is it a little bit of a slip up on the ban phase that is going to cost them? Because if they can't secure some solidity here on their attacks, Rogue with confidence is a very scary Rogue.
Thus, they'll try and find that confidence back as they start out on that defense. And we, like I believe it was mentioned on the desk before, Tempra, why are you doing this to yourself? Starting out in the attack yet again on this map. Last time didn't really go well for them. Now it's up to Rogue to show them that indeed you do not want to be starting an attack on this one.
It's always one of those discussions as well. It becomes the idea of why are we seeing maps like Oregon so frequently? It's because I guess in a way you can still be decent on your attacks. You can still dig in. Maps like Villa, maps like Theme, we're seeing them less because in a best of one situation, you don't want to be playing in this 5-1 situation because that's only one mistake away from a guaranteed, or at least at best 1 point, 2 mistakes away from a loss. It's tough for anyone in this environment and in these teams, and well, let's see how they start. I think I was going to point out the curiosities of the Amaru, but I'm just going to let that one play and see where Durza ends up. Chaoxis is looking for the push from the far side, and they're just waiting, baiting, and hoping that someone gets a little bit too close.
For hoping to enter, Goo Mine will be detonated, but of course no initial damage anymore, and thus will be removed quite quickly. All that was gained was a bit of information here for Aces as he goes off the angle at the wrong timing. P4 will not be able to find that kill as both will survive, but that could have been a kill for Rogue's side as well, and as P4 is now allowed to continue into the cafe, he might be cutting off some more dangerous angles.
Still everybody standing, but the pressure's starting to come through from Cafe, as you said. It's the standard push there, and they've been able to find the first as P4 gets the opener against Rips from a bit of a wide swing. Aces on the Legion was looking for a little bit more as well on the other side of that double hard down, but Tempra aren't playing. They're pacing themselves with the push and making sure they don't get caught out. I say as Boy caught in the doorway to the cafe, thought he wanted to settle for a nice cafe, but P4 has been dropped too. No lattes for either of you. Is this the start of a man who may be back? If you're a Rogue fan, I'm sure you are hoping so.
Have to be back, and this is a damn good start as he will be able to pick up 2. Goes for the third one here, but decides to stay alive as he gets the third one nonetheless. As he goes for the repeat, goes all the way around right now, lines them up, gets 1, but he will not land the ace on his second debut back into the game. Leaves Durs at about 1 HP. And it shouldn't be a job too hard for the 2 members of Rogue that are still left standing, Leon Gids and Corey, with 40 seconds have plenty of time to play this out. The diffuser in the meantime is going down, however, and that means a push needs to come in. The spot comes through. He will be taken down. Of course, the plant will be put onto Durza's name, but that is about it.
Wow, a bit of a start there for Tempra, but a great start for Aces. Obviously, we've already cited the fact that he was away for a period of time. What? You guys noticed that? Yes, you did. You commented on every single game. He's back now. He's back after the suspension, and he wasn't really back in the last game. They couldn't quite find it, but obviously there's a lot we don't know. We have no idea how much they're able to prep and practice. We have no idea how quick it was between getting him back into the roster, how much they're able to alleviate. In fact, I'm saying this, it was 2 scrims, wasn't it, that you said?
Yeah, 2 scrims before the last game they had. Not too much. The entire previous time, including those 3 matches where he wasn't officially suspended, but they played with Husty nonetheless. That was also time that they scrimmed with him. Not with Aces, but with Husty. So there's a long time he hasn't been scrimming with them. So, of course, it takes a while to get back into it. And, well, that one round, if that is going to be the story of how this match will be going for him, then Rogue can be really happy that he's back.
That's it too as well, is you wanted this team to be built around a man like Aces because of what he's capable of. And yes, Husty put in some good stints and showing a little bit earlier on and being able to put some bodies down, but Aces is one of those S-tier players. One of the names that can show up for a team that sometimes had a habit of not showing up on the biggest stages, on the biggest events. He was still always there and always causing problems. Last game, you warm back into these things. Warm back up here. He's coming hot. 4K in the first round. This could be the start of the scary Rogue again.
Imagine if he would have started off the round with that ace, if he would have just been able to get that extra bullet in Durza or just a little bit higher on the body to deal that extra bit of damage. It would have been an amazing start or restart of Rogue. As the man is, for many, a myth and a legend. Is really showing up so far in round number 1 as he creates these rotates through and through. But we'll continue running around as Corey is looking for a bullet hole peek here. The hat just not showing.
Well, retreating, pulling himself out of there and making sure he doesn't fall victim to the pressure that's coming across the top side. Steady drone from Tempra so far. They realize they need to pinch and push the players of Rogue a little bit further back to get themselves the intel step up, because the gun skill step up, as cited by the lack of entry so far, has really not been on either of these 2 teams. Swing and a miss. As P4 steps through and steps into a little conjoinment here, but this time round Corey opens everything up with Aces yet again, finding 1 more. And, well,
2 more.
2 more.
Keox has got downed, however, he doesn't seem to be aware. As Durza will be responding onto Corey, and that means that the roaming buddy of Aces is no longer standing up with him. That means he now needs to be a bit careful. There's still that 1 member downed. He is within safety, however, no one is close enough to try and pick him up. And as I say that, of course, Shinka will be making his way over. Ace is not able to secure that kill yet, and that means it's going to be a 3 and 4 situation again, but the HP will be low on the Ash. Still, Ace is stuck inside of the break room, hoping to get these kills in. Has a bullet hole ready for him. As a drone will be giving away his position, but he will stay put. He will stand fast, and he is going to get some pressure soon as he gets taken out by Keoxys.
Good close down, good collapse, and good drone work. As I said before, it's going to be their 1 up right now. And yes, it took a lot of time, but you have to dedicate a lot of time to being able to collapse against a player like that. If you half-hard it, he will wholeheartedly shoot you in the head. Now then, they can start trying to apply some pressure to the site itself. They have the verticality option, and they're going to try and crack open any heads or push them into less comfortable positions. They're also setting themselves up on split with Durza just playing around the corner. Wants to swing aggressively on Rips, who's just lying down and waiting on the side of split with the shotgun that only fires as much as you believe in it. But with 20 seconds, he at least knows the direction it's going to be coming from. He just has to time it, and he finds the cap of an Amaru and cuts it right off. A 3 versus 2. As the yellow stairs entrance gets cracked open, flashes through, but they need to rotate round. Seemingly, they're not quite sure where anybody else is. As Keoxys gets dropped on the entrance from Dragon Stairs, pre-fires no way. Kaid shuts you down.
It is such a hard position to challenge the split side or the split rather, as you see Rips playing inside of it. Often both those doorways will be held, both angles are going to be there, and that means you cannot really choose to challenge one. You need to smoke off one or throw flashbangs in just to rush through the other side. And often it's better to just open up onto yellow, as you just saw there, and then try to contest together. Just hold an angle into split, make sure no one is going to be able to swing it, so you can divide your full attention towards the Tyrone side. However, Rogue currently 2-0 up. 1 kill from Aces and a kill from Corey upstairs, and then a lot of time being wasted, leaving little to none left for Tempra to try and continue and set up their attack. And of course, it is a very defense-sided map. That is Theme Park. Like, it's just hard to get your attacks chained up here, especially if you have to deal with splits like that. But they do need to get around it. And preferably even 2. And, well, if they want to have a really good day, you're going to aim for 3. And this is the site where you have to do it. The offsite, the Turk tree.
This is it. This is where things are going to become a little bit problematic, theoretically, for Rogue. But I don't really think problematic's a word that we can throw to how their game has gone so far. Now, obviously, we've talked up Aces and talked about the power that he has, but it's also worth citing, as Des said, the man, well, less of a myth, more of a, I think he's the Master Chief, Leon Gods, who obviously is the second step up in this 2-step program of how do you drop the fraggers. I like that we jumped to him as he's messed up the camera twice. How do you stop Leon Gods? Because you've got to face him after you've faced Aces. And that was always the big thing about Phase 1 Rogue, was it was these 2 massive gunners, both of them on their own are problematic. The 2 of them together, when they have a synergy and they have energy, it's just unstoppable.
The jump out. Hello. Durza will be taken down. However, the window wasn't prepped yet, and that meant that Leon Gids was not allowed to jump back in. It'll be a one-on-one trade. A C4 will be lost. However, the cameras will still be outside and potentially inside as well, depending on where they have been located, feeding the information. So the job, well, majorly done. Now leaves it up to the remainder of his team to try and continue the 2-0 streak they have.
Yeah, it's obviously the trade is for an Amaru for a Valkyrie. A good gun for a good gun, I guess, is the way you're playing it, Leon. We already saw him placing the cameras before, so you know the intel's out there and he's just going to sit and watch from range. But they've at least taken something out of Tempras, and as you said, the rotate into barrels wasn't quite there. They couldn't quite get their way back through. Look at this flat pressure, though, coming on and coming through as we start to see the site itself cracked open. Corey inside the vault is going to become a bit of a problem. They need to try and dig him out and swing on, and we've seen not being able to get the kill inside this vault become a big kind of decider for a lot of teams who have otherwise failed their push. But again, the frequent fervent drones that scuttle across the floor and try and get all eyes in, you can see they want to try and apply this pressure onto him, and that's probably the next step in this multi-step program.
Here we have Aces going for a quick peek. We'll be able to get it down to P4, but not the finish off. And as the Zelfie, of course, can go for a withstand. Angle being held right here, right through the X-Kairos. Is going to be trying to go for a peek, but will not succeed in doing so as of yet. As Ace is putting up quite a bit of pressure so far in this early game here. And again, as you said, that shield where Corey is playing behind is going to be an issue. We saw it in Challenger League. Many pushes fell, but also started on this spot. You need to take out this player, otherwise the A bomb site is completely off limits. And as Corey is just sitting here, chilling in the vault, with smoke anesthesia now being deployed by Rips, who is just aiding him, his shield will finally fall. But then there is still that rotation on the back of vault where he can jump out from if it gets a bit too heated. But he decides to dig himself in even further. He's not leaving, he's staying put and hoping that Tempra will not see it.
P4 underneath, but was caught out by Rips. The intel was there, and there's another, and there's another, and there is one more for the tally. Rogue! Within a breath, in a sentence, he had collapsed down, but again, that was a stalemate where you had all of the cards, and unfortunately it seems like Tempra are playing the wrong game. They just could not get any purchase onto this table and could not find their way through. It was seemingly a roadblock made and built. Again, we're going to talk about that vault, but all the way across. As I said, you could see it very obviously and visually, a bit of a no man's land. The rotation of the Sophia underneath a good plan, but Unfortunately, a little bit too little, too late. Some reverse pressure just to pull one gun of Rogue away from that might have alleviated some of the stress and allowed them a little bit more kind of feasibility in getting inside. But hey, that's 3-0. That's 3-0. That's Monty. Now, let's see if he can break the stalemate and I guess try and be that purchase.
You know who else but the Rogue fans are going to be really happy with this 0-3 right now?
Who?
Chaos Esports Club. They are absolutely loving this because they're currently in 10th place. They lost their head-to-head match against Tempra, which would have been able to elevate themselves out of that other relegation spot. And that means that if Rogue is able to win this, the difference will be staying at 4 points with only 3 matches to go. And yes, of course, they have a very tough opponent in the likes of G2 coming up after this. But if I'm looking, just a very tough one,
just
right?
a little bit.
Tempra faces Secret after. Chaos faces Empire on the Wednesday. And then on the last play day, we have Tempra up against G2. So literally both will play against G2. And Chaos will be going up against Vitality. So, like, if I'm checking, I would say Vitality, not Vitality. Chaos would have the easier going at these last 3 matches compared to Tempra. So that means Tempra really needs to get these points in now, because otherwise they might still swap spots. How unlikely it might be with Chaos, even though they won their head-to-head matchup.
Voy is the lead in and just saying, hey man, can you just, okay, thank you. And now he can start to try and step through, as they want to use this as a bit of a bastion and a ballast to break their way against this line. Because so far, if you're looking at all these way the firefights have landed, it's generally been in the favor of Rogue. They've been a little bit quicker, a little bit sharper, and a little bit better at clicking heads. Who has a very hard head to click? Monty. And where's a great play you can kind of push against these gun skill players is just literally shepherding them, pushing them further and further back. Tempra have been okay at getting control of the space. Their drone work has been good. It's just the actual confrontations have generally been going a little bit out of their favor. They were even able to get the diffuser down last time around here. Sure, it was a bit of a hopeless situation in 2 versus 1, but either way, it shows that the space and clarity is there. Chaoxis creeping up arcade entrance and stairs is looking to try and apply some pressure onto the long bit of balcony, but oh no, Aces has started and your Capital's off the board and a huge amount of utility.
Oh, Chaos is going to be able to put up some damage into Rips, who quickly peeked or side peeked the door, got a lot of damage in. Aces will be taken down as well. I believe there might have been a shot right here coming through from the CSRX on Kali. Yeah, indeed it was. As the down comes in, the secure comes through. It's a double kill from Durza as he now peeks through, hoping to get the one into the vault as well, but will be failing to do that as of now. Tempra right here have a very good opportunity to actually go for a round right here as Leon gets flanking around. He's one of the last lines standing, but he will not make it happen. The knife comes in the end. Kajeka will fall, and Tempra will be able to pick up their first round so far. As here he comes. Nice little shield bash coming through, just, you know, banging over the G2 Jaeger all the way over to the other side of the room.
Very important round win and a very important change of pace from Tempra. They're not going to hide the Monty this time, no reason to. It was very successful, and double down on your success. As I said, where things were generally going wrong for Tempra was they just didn't have anybody to try and battle back against those openers. Now they do. Now they have something where they can push and apply pressure and work it into their game that is their strongest, which is the information and control game. Oh, what's that, Corey says? I know that's your strongest bit of your game. I'm going to bring a Mozzie and shut that down.
I just want to say it's a really odd composition we're seeing coming out from Tempra. You're seeing the Ashe in the tournament, you're like, okay, yeah, I can see that. And then the Kali. And you're like, yeah, but I mean, often Kali gets brought, right, on Theme Park. Like, you clearly don't know the game, but like, yes, that's if Thatcher gets banned. Do you see a Thatcher ban?
I do not see a Thatcher ban.
Oh, yeah, so it's kind of weird to see the Kali coming out. And then the Capital is like that one flex pick you have, right? You either pick A, you choose it for another flex, but then the Monty would also go into the same category there. So there's like 2 flex picks really coming out. It's a weird composition. Of course, they managed to win the round with it, but it's really weird because I don't think you have enough explosives to deal with all the bulletproof gadgets that could be brought. Of course, like Kali brings like 3 explosive lances that you can use. But like you're missing, for example, the Sophia, which you could bring, or like an extra hard breach in this case.
I think that's the balance here as well, is maybe they're just looking at a big gun to hammer some walls with. The one thing about this kind of second story that lines up quite well with the Kali is you can, in a way, make these big sight lines, these big angles. We know Rogue like to play little bullet holes and punch holes. We know they like to play upstairs aggressively. So if Durza just brings such a heavy-hitting CSRX rifle upstairs and starts cracking open doors and walls and anything else, it might push the Rogue players back. It might force them into less comfortable situations, and there it is. As predicted, he is just hammering these long lines and hoping to get 1, 2, 3 walls cut through, and then preferably a Rogue player at the end of it.
The thing is, you only need one bullet to get that down anywhere in the body but the feet. There's a pest quickly taken down as well by one of those 50 cal rounds. No one is going to be around though. That is the big issue here for Tempra. You can keep on peppering in these big bullets, but if no one is going to be peeking you, you're not going to be finding anything to hammer down on, as you just said. You're going to be patient as well because Leon he's playing below. He has a C4 available to him. What's P4 doing there at the back of statue? They're so close to one another. If only they would know. The drone will now confirm his placement. P4 doesn't seem to be too worried about it. You could have gone for a wallbang there because the pings are coming in. Now Voi's moving in as well. And yet again, P4 still not responding to it. And as I say that, he's now watching for the doorway and gets the kill until Leon gets to start things off. That's the C4 secured, and also they don't have enough time to close up the rotation they've had in maintenance, and that means that now the attackers can freely move through.
P4 getting into that situation was pretty well played. Whether he knew Leon was there or not, either way, the pace led to some success, and so does the Kali over the shoulder of the Monty, who again has been at the front of every single one of these confrontations. The trades have started to come and break down though, but the diffuser, well, that's down too, as Shinka gets the plant down for the second time this game. Now you're in a 3 versus 3, but you're against a Monty, who is such a troublemaker in this situation. Oh, and you're also against a CSRX too? Oh no. Now it's just ACs you're up against. Looks for the firefight over the top of Throne, but with not a huge amount of time, with angles held every single which way, well, it is not an easy situation. 2 in a row for Tempra.
It's indeed not an easy situation. You saw the shoulder peaks coming in time and time again. Actually spotted out the Kali, but Kali just waiting to line up that perfect shot because you'll only have one chance at that moment in time, because as soon as that tracer comes in, you're either going to get flicked or they're not going to be exposing you to themselves to that angle anymore. So good patience coming down there from Durza. And, you know, don't fix it. If it ain't broken, ain't fix it, you know, something like that, because they're continuing with the same lineup to come through. And Rogue is just giving some minor adaptations to come through. Nothing too big, though. Oh, there we have it. That's the big thing. I was waiting for the clash.
See, for me, this is trying to answer the game that Tempra is bringing, because the Monty, as I said before, was a great response to what Tempra was suffering at. The rest of their game was working well. They had their pinches. They just couldn't get those firefights. Now, over 2 rounds, every single firefight that's led to success has generally been led by that Monty there. Using him as you would best use him. Put him in front, he's a wall, he's a window, he's the eyes into the soul of the defenders, and he watches them get shot over his shoulder. Here, I mean, last round, okay, I think the response, as I said, for the Mozzie was to try and shut down the information game. It didn't quite work because, well, they're stacking behind Monty. Let's have a shield versus shield.
The thing is, though, there's a lot of utility on the Tempra side that will be able to deal with the clash. Every single shot from the CSRX will be triggering the guard break animation. People might have read about it in the patch notes, because in the TTS currently, shields are a bit reworked. Monty, for example, can get the guard break animation as well, just by purely being zapped by the clash. Now that isn't in yet because we're still in the live build, but that is a change that is coming up. So if we would have done this in a few weeks from now, Voy would have been pretty much screwed by the clash to come out. But right now, the guard break isn't in yet. Except for the fact that when Durza shoots 1 bullet into the shield of Corey, the shield will go to the side. You have the opportunity to shoot at the feet, and that means that if anybody is accompanying Durza in his journey of opening up all these walls and players, they might be able to get a quick few shots in and actually take him down with a couple of it. And that's not it. They also have a Capital. They have fireballs. There's so much utility they can use.
Just got to use it well and see if they can get in and get against that clash. Voy is the first one to suffer any damage this time, which bodes not great, but at the same time, you've still got a lot left, and you got a shield. It's a little mistake, and you know that they're not trying to make any more. But if I'm going to cite Void being the front of the spear, there's someone to back them up. Get in close, get in behind them. Previously, they were the only feet that was inside the room, and now, well, they've opened up a bit of an angle. There is a bit more of a hold going down, and Corey rotates around to try and zap and slow Void. Puts them into an uncomfortable situation, but they're well aware of the Kali being swung from the balcony behind, and they're going to make sure that they're not in a position to be easily caught by it. Thankfully for them, as we've seen before, Monty is the tip, and it doesn't seem like there's anybody else trying to join to be the actual thrust.
This is the bit of a stalemate that you would often see with two shields, because both are extended as right now. The firebolts are coming out. We'll be forcing the Clash into a very unfortunate position. A beautiful shot coming down from P4. There's the stagger animation that I was just talking about, and now P4 is basically screwed as he gets pushed into the flames and taken down in the kneecap. P4 with a huge double kill before Leon Gids manages to even find a response.
Really, really well played kill there, and great use of utility. P4 saw an opportunity, and he took it. And also took the lives of ACs and the Clash of Corey too. But now it's down to Garzeka holding over the site and trying to make sure that he keeps an eye on that Monty, with Leon Gids going for a big rotation underneath. C4 in pocket now, C4 in hand. Probably in a second, C4 thrown up. And nobody blown out. The rotation of Durza came just in time, but look at this quick pace. They've realized Garzeka's a little bit on his own now, with Rips keeping A under control. B has become the bastion of possibility as Void charges through the new open carcass. Now the eyes are in, and there is the back. Leon Gids strikes from behind. Quick trades coming across the chassis of the bomb with only a few seconds left. The 2 versus 1 has appeared. Leon Gids is all that is left now, but they have to try and get the plant in. There is the Kali caught from a side. Not enough to drop her though. Durza swung around.
He hit the down.
The MPX is a pea shooter. Can be accurate, but hard to master. And now Tempra 3-3.
He must have thought he had the DBNO there, because he just shot a couple of rounds in and then was like, alright, let's go to the next. Let's see if the planter is inside of that position. But no, he was not. And Tempra able to bring it back after 3 rounds consecutively being lost. They managed to bring it back. The Monty really working out well for them, even though they managed to take it down in the end. The Kali was still there, running in with the SBSMG-9. And that shows she's not only a deadly force on a very long range, but she also has the opportunity to get up close and personal. And that's exactly what happened there. Able to pick up 1, then surviving the shots of the MPX and, well, turning it around, using that No You or the Uno reverse card, whichever one you would like to pull. And Tempra right now find themselves on a 3-3, and they're going over to the defense, and they have the opportunity to, well, fight for a win here, because it suddenly looks a lot better for them.
Honestly, the adaptation they made in the middle of the attacking half led to great results there. Now we've got to see if they can try and double down on their defense, because Rogue opened this so strong. It was only really the response of Tempra that led to success. Now we've got a chance to see if they have a bit of momentum, if they have a bit of carry over from that late round success. If they've got something extra now that maybe will help their plan A be a little bit more fortuitous before they have to potentially shift to a plan B. We got to sight, and we got to remember that this map is usually defender sided. So Tempra on a 3-3 at this point, they're looking pretty good.
Rogue unable to deal with that Monty that was being brought out, and you saw it for a second. Let's just run the Clash, because it will slow them down. It will do like little bits of damage. They will have to deal with you. But yes, if they're bringing a Capitao and a Kali the entire time, of course they're going to be able to deal with it, because there's just so much utility, so much opportunity for them to try and work with it. And work with it they did. Tempra able to shut down that Clash quite quickly, quite effectively, and just push through, push them into corners. Make sure they can pick up kill after kill, securing that final round. And that leads us in this 3v3 scoreline right now, where Rogue is on the attack right now, is trying to get as much information out as possible, because they're attacking Throne Room. It's a very turtle-ish hold, if you look at it. 4 people on side. Durza is roaming around, semi-roaming rather, as he is in that drug lab. So they're not going to be able to find anybody as of just yet.
What you can notice here about Rogue's push rather than Tempra's is they are exceptionally spread out. They're very much just fulfilling their own roles and kind of controls that they need to right now. Whether that's from the pre-placed drones and realizing that, oh, Tempra is generally all on site, we've got free reign to do what we need to everywhere else, or if it's just generally how they want to push. By the way, it's a lot of confidence in the team to know and trust that they can play this. There is a bit of confrontation and P4's health from a grenade. Well, one more bit of heat from that, and that would be a Maestro lying at the foot of the throne. He escapes to the back of it, and you keep that Alder on board, but you also keep his 2 cameras in hand, and you can hear them whirring, but you can't hear Voy whirring anymore. Dropped by Leon. The man of the moment at the previous half is able to, well, be taken off the board first and just watch via cameras.
Second one taken out as Aces moves in, gets a kill. Now we'll be moving on to a very tight angle, picks up the headshot onto Shinka as well, as he's going for another very tight angle. Now Maestro knows not peeked as he's all alone right now in a 1v5 situation. 1 HP here to Dream, quite literally. You have the Elder, probably the best gun in the game to try and deal with the current situation at hand. But you're also up against Aces as a little damage is being done. He managed to pick up 1 kill and 99 points of damage onto Aces. Blinker second moved in and got that final one. Rogue is taking the lead here straight away. Will be successful with their attack. And well, it all started after that double grenade coming in. The first one to take care of the Electroclaw. The second one to deny any second Electroclaw to be coming in as the Termite charge was exploding. But rather instead found a Maestro and brought him all the way down to 1 HP to fight for the rest of the round.
Bunk Dacre, not going to double down on Throne. Quickly realised that, hey, that was a pretty good hold. But to be fair, at the first half as well, we saw Rogue keep changing play space because, well, similar reasons. You don't want to go double down on situations and sites where things seem a little bit out of your favour and out of your fingers. So, well, there's the first adaptation, the Valkyrie from the Maestro, going to go for a little bit more of a malleable information game. And I think this is something, again, that could work well for Tempra. As I looked at and pointed out, my curiosity was piqued by Rogue's very spread out push. Each member seemed to have a different place they wanted to take control of. And yeah, it can be a very, very fast roam clear, and it is purely built on knowledge. It's purely built on generally the idea that you know where they are, you have your pre-placed, you know what is generally safe. One surprise, one trick in that kind of little pot of peanuts could lead you to snakes flying out in your face and the opener going away from you.
10 seconds to go.
Talking about snakes flying away to your face. Tempra wins this. We have another couple of set of snakes that might be flying out today.
Yeah.
I mean, let me just look at the standings, because if Tempra wins this, let me just put it in there.
Yeah, do it. And then I want to say something, but you do first.
Then they're up to, they're up to 19 points. Navi also won, so they're up to 20, and that would mean that the closest opponent would be 7 points away. So Chaos would need a win to survive in that moment in time, right? So, like, theoretically after tonight, they could already be secured into that 10th place, which is not really something you would like to be secured into.
But no, nobody wants to be secured. If there's anything you don't want to be secured in there. I was very curious how you were going to work my joke about those, like, snake peanut novelty, like, comedy April Fool's trick into something siege related. But you did. You actually did, and I'm very impressed.
See, my AI is improving.
Yeah, it's somehow it's getting used to the nonsense that I spout, and, well, what I'm going to say here, I guess maybe some of my ideas before, they're slightly coming true because there's only 2 bodies now, I believe, currently on Cafe Balk, and there's 1 less body in the guns of Tempra. Rips finds the opener against P4. Zafir goes down, Chaoxis, and moves and manipulates themselves to another position, just on the other side of the table with Voy getting ACs too, and there's 1 more for Voy for the trouble. Well, what started well has very quickly fell through the fingers here of Rogue.
Falling very quickly indeed, and well, luckily for them, they managed to pick up their first attacking round, so they have a little bit of a buffer. But of course, you do not want to be the ones to instantly lose that lead you just managed to pick up. I'm kind of uncertain as of why the diffuser is actually inside of the break room. It seems like someone went in a bit too prematurely and lost it as a result, as the members of Tempra were quite ready. That leaves Rogue with a very hard task now. With only 60 seconds, they need to find 4 members, with only 2 of them, or potentially recover that diffuser. But as the point of ingress seems to be the cafe door, You're literally going to have to fight through every single one of them.
And I guess this is one of the flaws of when you have your team spread out. If you do start to lose bodies in certain places, getting yourself back together is a massive, massive time sink in a game where you really cannot afford to pay it. Wants to swing on this open door, unfortunately swings straight into the guns of Chaoxis, who kind of locked down the cafe this time round. They know where the last is. They're just going to pepper and pre-fire towards the door and actually throw some smoke canisters out. Only 20 seconds left. Nowhere really for Kajeka to go here. It's just a matter of maybe trying to find an exit frag, maybe trying to find one more thing here and one more body for a tally. It's not looking likely though, unfortunately. Everything seems to be watched. They're even behind you, over the shoulder and round the door. Kajeka, nothing else this round.
Nothing he could have tried to make out of that one. There's too many angles being held, too little time to try and work all of them, and the diffuser being downed into the break room, basically being beyond recovery. And that leaves us at that 4-4 spot. We're into round number 9 right now. Tempra choosing to go for initiation office, and it's quite odd actually that they didn't choose to be going back towards the Armory Throne Fluke, because it is often considered the best site for defense, especially with the crossfires you can set up on split. But not being used here by Tempra. They are choosing to go to other sites right now. They're continuing their rotation, even though they lost their first site.
I think one of the ways it breaks down with the hands of Tempra is they're very much a learning team. They're a team that is kind of adapting to what goes on when plan A doesn't really work. And I think they want to keep the momentum moving. They want to keep the game slightly in their favor. It's something you've always got to realize is they came into this half 3 rounds down, 3 rounds on the trot. They lost the 4th, but if they can keep the sites going and keep the sites moving, they might be able to find themselves some solidity. They're trying to avoid places where the story wasn't quite in their favor for as long as possible. That could be an aspect. Either way, I think it's always fair with Theme Park that we built around Throne Room and built around Dorms as the first 2, but the map has been in the pool for a little bit of time now. Teams are starting to have some good ideas about to hold this 3rd site, and in a way, it kind of rotates a little bit like clubs started to recently, where we're seeing Drug become a more successful site for some teams rather than CCTV. Not Drug. That's on this map. We're seeing Gym and Bedroom. Gym and Bedroom turn into a more successful site. Then things like CCTV or Armory Church.
There's
potentially just because it attack more. Now you go.
There's a lot of drugs on the cash room, which is also CCTV.
No, that's sugar for glazed donuts.
So I get it. It's sugar.
Yeah, it's sugar for glazed donuts.
I'm sorry, I'm Dutch. No, I think it's something else.
No,
straight
it's
away,
fine.
You know?
But
it's like,
just so everyone is aware, that is sugar, 100%. So don't think
just
about.
Don't try to sniff it.
No, just ignore it. It's not there. It distracts you from the dub. The most important thing.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Now we have this sorted.
Yeah.
And the facts checked and spit out, and everybody seems to be aware of.
Moral of the story for my long regaling tale is some teams have found themselves having more success on the 3rd site. Aces has found no success in the round as he's instantly gunned by Chaoxis. Went for an Iana play and he didn't want to play with Iana. Chaoxis shuts it down very quickly, and I'm not quite sure where that body is. Is it downstairs on the main stairs, I think?
Yeah, I think it was down. No, I think it was all the way downstairs near barrels, maybe even.
Where?
Oh, okay.
Where is the body?
Okay, maybe outside? I have no clue. CSI Rainbow Six Edition.
Chaoxis came from... If anyone wants to get a screenshot of that and see if they can circle the body and send it to me on Twitter later.
That'd be quite great. But Leon, now trying to move through, doesn't seem like he has the information on Chaoxis, and this might actually be a very painful death to come through. But as I say that, he swings the corner and Chaoxis turns his back to him. Drones being taken out as... Cams rather, as Voy will be able to find a response. Corey will go down, and that is a smart way to open up. And you might be why. Well, you see exactly why, because it opens up the wall right next to it as well. It is the way that these exothermics work. Often you also see like electrified hatches, they can still open up. Just place it right next to it, not on the actual hatch, because it does enough damage to open it up, and it's exactly what happened there.
Wow, Leon so low health is concerned about battling against Shinka, obviously. We've seen that smoke play and play very late on in the game too. It will not take long dancing near the tip of those canisters, and they're starting to pop now. 30 seconds left on the board, and they're in a man-down situation with swings coming out against most of the entranceways. They want to try to catch one more before they get themselves locked in towards the site, but Voy is ready to swing all the way down the corridor if anyone drifts a little bit too close and a little bit too dangerous. 20 seconds. 10 is gone, and you've only gained a tiny bit of land, but also more canisters have been popped. Kajeka unfortunately goes down to the swing of Voy. As I said, down the long corridor. There's a quick trade inside the site, but there is only rips left now. Knows there's one in either direction. Unfortunately, the choice proves costly. Tempra, they're in the lead for the first time today.
There we have it. They are in the lead, and finally, and now Chaos starts to be sweating a little bit more, because if they're going to be able to get the win here, not a draw, because they need 2 points to be able to put Chaos on checkmate. Really. So, like, they need a win here. Otherwise, not going to be able to put them under pressure, and that means they need 2 more rounds. A draw, not enough. Rogue would maybe even take it happily as things are currently developing. But Tempra doesn't want that. They want more than that. They would definitely more than that. And if Aces and Leon Gids and the rest of Rogue do not step up their attack game right now, it might be over for them. Because we're not going back to Armory Throne Fluke.
Yeah.
We're going to Lab and Storage. We're going to a completely different site. One that we do not often see. But we're going to be able to potentially find out whether or not it will be viable in EUL as well.
Hey, let's see what they've got planned. Tempra, I said they wanted to kind of keep the game hot and keep the opponents guessing and keep the momentum in their favor, maybe. They're playing that ye old expectation game here against Rogue, hoping they set themselves up for a similar take to what they did before and trying to play against them. Or maybe it's not that complicated. Maybe Tempra were just so taken aback by how they couldn't lock off anything Rogue did, they don't think that they can fix it in time, and they're not going to risk it. They know how important this game is, and as we said before, as weird as it is with the current form and the current run of games, this game is maybe their best chance to lock themselves some precious points before we find ourselves at the tail end of this. If they find themselves in ninth, they have a chance of staying in. If things go wrong and go off the deep end, and Chaos, who are in a better form than they were, get a better form than they're in, well, that's not a story Tempra don't want to get anywhere close to.
Really sad for crying the next one on the boys of Chaos, who literally just came in and then would have to go back to Challenger League already, where they came from. Just quickly want to paint a better picture for Rogue, however, because they became 4th in the EU Major the last time around, which gives you, of course, some precious SI points. It puts you in the top 16 spot. However, as you might know, the top 8 of the EUL, each phase, gets points as well. Currently, they find themselves in the 10th place, being 0 points. The number 8 is Chaos with 7. So if Rogue loses here today, they will not be able to get any points at all for the 6th Invitational this stage. And that will be very hurtful for them, because currently they are on the 12th to 16th place. And that means if anybody becomes 4th who actually had points in stage 1, they will be overtaken. It cannot be secret, if I'm looking at it like this. It could be Virtus Pro, it could be G2 or Empire if they manage to continue.
A lot of possibilities, a lot of questions, a lot of stats, and I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun running that later. But for me, we got a lot to look forward to here on this round. If Rogue can keep themselves one step away, that's not the way to start it, but they try and hit Chaoxis almost back instantly. He, however, finds one more inside barrels, dances out into the arcade entrance and keeps himself alive. 2 off the board so early. IQ gone. There's the third. P4 locks down Corey, and this is a very confident Tempra. Fighting fights on every door and every battle. Yet again, a familiar tale. Kajeka, the last alive. With a minute to play for and barely any health, he's spraying towards the entrance of arcade. He has the sight behind him, but unfortunately, Voy's there too. Tempra guaranteed themselves a point and set themselves up for the possibility of 3.
Let's just say Chaos is 1 round away from being checkmated out of EUL.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Big uh-oh. It's not going well for them. They were absolutely wilding where Rogue was trio up, and suddenly how the tables have turned as we're currently up to 6-4 for Tempra, who might be putting themselves into a better position than they were ever in before, as it would be bringing them up to about 19 points. That is on equal grounds with Rogue. And I don't want to be a mood breaker here, but Na'Vi went up to 20 points. Rogue is currently in 8th place. If Tempra win this, they're coming up on equal points. Now, I'm going to check what the Stage 1 record was, because if that was not really favorable for Rogue, then we might see Rogue being relegated. Okay, no, it was a 7-2 for Rogue. Okay, so we can quickly put that one to bed. So that's not going to be outdone here, but Tempra is definitely going to be able to get on equal points. The head-to-head will go to Rogue, but that does mean that if Tempra is going to be able to pick up one more point than Rogue in the remaining 2 matches that are coming up, Rogue is the one that could get relegated. And it would be more painful to have that suspension than we have thought before. So this draw needs to happen now. There's so much here for Rogue to fight for.
I said you were going to have fun with the stats, and, well, you already are. I think it's fair to say, obviously, Rogue have played, I would say, better at points today than we've seen them. It's their second game with AC's back on this split. It's, I guess, the first where they've really looked a little bit close to first phase Rogue, but Tempra, they've stepped up today. They stepped into a game where they instantly had the back foot, and they're still kind of stepping. The confidence that they've had over the last round, especially where they're swinging aggressively. If I cited at the beginning that they were losing their ones to Rogue, at this point you're questioning how Rogue can start trying to win those back, because Tempra, my word, every door seems to be a danger spot for Rogue right now, and they're not 100% sure how to approach. Leon's looking towards Cafe and looking towards the Chaoxis Jaeger at the back as the pings are coming out. Doesn't know where the Valk Cam is. No IQ this round to try and catch it.
No IQ to catch it, indeed. A lot of information might be given from that. The stuns are coming in, but they will be telling, all right, there's no one there. But the second one will, however, confirm someone is indeed inside a cafe. As Leon Git's trying to find that kill. They really need an opening here. They have 2 more spots as the yellow pings are coming through. They know exactly that one is right here in the cafe balcony still. Might be seeing pressure coming down from both the window and the door at the same time. Some synchronized push to make sure you at least have the refrag. He might even take the advantage here as Chaoxis goes aggressive right now. Here you have it. Is this going to be the opening that they've been waiting for? As Tempra have the opportunity to close it out this round. As they open up with Karseka, P4 will get that kill. And it's a very important one as there's so much cameras all around. Rogue, what can you do?
Well, they need to try and do something. We heard a bit of hard destruction go off, but it's just swinging and hoping on doors right now. They've got the top of yellow stairs open at least. They're trying to apply some pressure onto the back of Cafe, but Leon is struggling to apply it inside the camera. It's still up, perpetually pinging the man that is out on the balcony having the worst time. Chaoxis fed that kill by the intel that was popped continually by the Valk Cam that was never truly found. It is now a situation where Aces pull something back and drones are putting pressure on the man that is inside, but they know Duz is there and they're not even going to try and apply the pressure, cross the door, cross the threshold, and try and cross their way into the other side of this floor, cracking open. They're not going to take the cafe fight. They've realized things aren't really going their favor, so if they just try and apply the pressure somewhere else, they might have a little bit more success. And, well, a little bit more success could lead to some success and could lead to, at the best case, a draw.
Yeah, but a big crossfire being set up as Chaoxis wants to move through. Corey peeks out, gets a kill. Shinka gets one, but instantly traded out as well. Here's the down onto Aces. It's a 1-on-2 situation now with 10 seconds left. Corey is coming in on upper arcade. The pre-fire comes in and the kill comes in as well. It is Chaoxis that gets that final kill. It is Tempra that are getting the win in. It is Tempra that now draw up with points against Rogue to put Rogue down into a very big danger of relegation as they're still on 0 points. Rogue can say goodbye to the 6th Invitational as well. This is a very, very grim sky coming in here for Rogue.
Well, the pumpkin has unfortunately been blown up today, and they've got to try and amalgamate the pieces into some kind of pumpkin smoothie. It is spooky month. Maybe that's why I'm making these references either way. Today, Tempra, you did enough, and enough was perfect.